Greetings and grace, y'all. You know we are getting into it. Silence! Silence. Or is it time for you to hush? Or is it time for you to speak the frick up? Yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to have some fun. Let's rock it out. All right, you already know where we at. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. A time for everything. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in his time. He has made everything beautiful in his time. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity into the heart of men. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This right here is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it so that people will fear him. Whatever is has already been, and what will be has been before. And God will call the past to account. And I saw something else under the sun. In the place of judgment, wickedness was there. In the place of justice, wickedness was there. I said to myself, God will bring into judgment both the righteous and the wicked. For there will be a time for every activity and a time to judge every deed. Going on in verse 22. So I saw that there is nothing better for a person than to enjoy their work, because that is their lot. For who can bring them to see what will happen after them? All right, y'all. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and more specifically, a time to be silent and a time to speak. To know that and to learn that is very powerful. So, you already know we headed to the freedictionary.com. Yesterday, we talked about tearing down and mending. We are going to look up silence. And that is the condition or quality of being or keeping still and silent, the absence of sound, stillness, a period of time without speech or noise, refusal or failure to speak out, to make silent or bring to silence, the curtail, the expression of suppress, to interfere with the expression of a gene or gene segment. Okay, so that's biological function is suppressed. Okay, yeah, we're good there. The state or quality of being silent, the absence of sound or noise, stillness, refusal or failure to speak, communicate, etc., when expected, a period of time without noise, oblivion, or obscurity, to bring to silence, to put a stop, to extinguish. Ooh. Stop letting people extinguish you. That's the word right there. Speak, to produce words by means of sounds, talk, to express thoughts or feelings, to convey information in speech or writing, to convey information or ideas in text, to engage in conversation, to be friendly or willing to communicate, be on speaking terms, to deliver an address or a lecture, to act as a spokesperson, to convey information through another person, to convey a message by nonverbal means, to give an indication or suggestion, to be appealing, to make a reservation or a request, to produce a characteristic sound. Okay, there's a whole lot, y'all. I mean, I'm speaking now. Speaking, you're speaking, right? And then we got silence, we got speak, we'll do hush, and then we'll do voice, to make silence or quiet, to calm, to soothe. I like that. To keep from public knowledge, suppress mention of, often used with up. To become silent or still, a silence or stillness, especially after noise. Silent, quiet. I like that. This one, number 2, to calm or to soothe. I like that. Let's see. Voice. Oh, no, no, no. Vocal. Vocal instead of voice. Of or relating to the production of sound through the mouth, uttered or produced by the voice, full of voices resounding, tending to express oneself, often or freely outspoken, of or resembling vowels, voiced, of relating to, okay, or performed by singing, a vocal sound. Ah, you guys. I hope y'all know what scripture I'm about to pull up because it's a classic. It's a classic, baby. It's a classic. This one right here is a certifiable classic. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. And I'm on BibleHub.com, where it talks about death and life being in the power of the tongue. We're going to read a few versions so that you guys can take a look at it. But this is what I really would love for everybody to keep in mind, that when we speak, we want to make sure that we do so with the responsibility of understanding that our words have power. So Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21, NIV. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. New Living Translation. The tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. Consequences can be good. Consequences can be bad. ESV, English Standard Version. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. Berean Standard Bible. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. King James Bible. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. In KJV, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Like, if you see that they emphasizing that they are this is how powerful it is. NASB, death and life are the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Over and over again, over and over again, over and over again, you guys. What does it tell you? Let me see the message. Let's see. Okay, LMN LMNOP. Wait, y'all don't got the Message Bible? What about the Message Bible? That's a really good one. I know Amplified is pretty good, but like, what about the Message Bible? Interesting. Interesting. Amplified says death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it and indulge it will eat its fruit and bear the consequences of their words. Ooh, come through, Amplified Bible. That was a really good one. So I have something special for you today. One of my favorite people in the entire world. All right. So she is amazing. Her name is Tara Sorg. You can go to tarasorgmentalhealth.com. So we're going to talk about speaking up for self and speaking up for others. And then we're going to talk about how to make sure that, you are aware to when you actually need to be quiet. All right. That's what we're talking about, because the seasons have it all. So I'm looking on her blog, and we're talking about speaking up for self-respect. People who set healthy boundaries have a greater level of self-respect and confidence. This allows them to function differently with others in their personal and professional life. Are you violating your own self-respect and putting your relationships in danger? Let's take a look at your boundaries in the aspect of you might have weak boundaries if style. You might have weak boundaries if you don't speak up even when you're treated badly. You overbook yourself. You feel underappreciated and taken for granted. You say yes when you really want to say no. You feel guilt. Woo, I used to do that, y'all. I love this. I love this. You say you feel guilty for doing something for yourself. Man, you constantly make sacrifices for others at your own expense. Stop doing that, y'all. You repeatedly find yourself in unhealthy, one-sided relationships. So let them joints go. All right, I'm gonna just read, because woo, man, we getting into it. You believe you must always put others before yourself to earn something. You overshare details about your life, even with strangers. You frequently adopt the preferences and personalities of people you like or admire. You've been putting everyone else before you that you don't even know what you want or need anymore. You allow others to touch you even when you feel uncomfortable. You are passive aggressive. You always feel like the victim. You have a hard time making decisions. If you identify with some of these, don't feel bad. I've struggled with some of these in the past. We all have. Oh my God, that's real. Time for this to change. Many of us know what we will or will not allow to be done to us. And sometimes it still happens. There is a difference between knowing our boundaries versus setting and enforcing them. It's easy to say, I'm not going to let anyone treat me like trash, without realizing we've been making excuses for why we allow someone to behave horribly. We allow family or friends to treat us poorly and don't do anything about it. In order for boundaries to actually do what they're meant to do, you must clearly define your rules and consistently enforce them. You will have to do this on purpose. If you are new to this, hey, what's that thing? I ain't new to this. I ain't true to this. That's what made me think to it. Think about it. If you are new to this, practice, because it is a skill that needs to be learned. And yeah, by the way, you guys, there's a book. Oh my God, it's phenomenal. It's called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Townsend Cloud. Highly recommend. Okay. The way you set and maintain boundaries shows how much you value yourself, and it is not based on what other people think, expect, or feel about you. Steps to get started. Yeah, and you know what? That's so true because let me tell you something, especially on social media, when people are looking, looking, lurking, finding an opportunity to troll, finding an opportunity to just start stuff unnecessarily. I kid you not. I kid you not. I could name two times recently, two times recently when it was hold on, let me see. Actually, three times this week alone. Three times this week when someone tried to pick a fight with me, and I'm over here like, whatever. I just don't have the time for it. So I said I was commenting on someone's post in Twitter, and talking about some people they're doing some stuff now that they have tenure at schools, which gives them like immunity. They can kind of teach whatever it is they want to teach. So I said, why can't you just tell children they are amazing just the way they are without thinking they should be something else to be loved? And there's always that pushback of there's no agenda. This is clear evidence of an agenda manipulating children via tenure privileges, right? Now, 42 people agree with me, 5 people retweeted, and I got I got some comments, but I got one particular comment. This was not that long ago. That's exactly what this kind of schooling is doing. It's telling kids that at school they can be themselves no matter what. And that's amazing. Why would anybody be afraid of this? I said a child that naturally has a gift of artistry shouldn't be manipulated into becoming a PE teacher because the PE teacher is a PE teacher and that PE teacher deep down dislikes artists. And then they said, yeah, that's a wild oversimplification of how children make choices. You really don't have much respect for children, do you? Then I said, boy, bye, right? Then I said, God bless. I gave the emoji, the one like this. I gave that. I said, boy, bye, God bless. And then I put a gif of Viola Davis grabbing the person leaving. And then this person said, look at you making a gender assumption, and then gave me the waving face, right? People are always going to say stuff like, I'm over the conversation. Not only that, there was someone the other day try to have a conversation, like trying to point stuff out. Nobody was talking to them and wanted to, like hit like at me, right? At me and also add other people as well. And I scrolled just to see what they were about. And my assumption was correct, or my presumption on them actually reaching out to me. And I'm like, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, bye bye bye. And I left it like that, right? And I mean, I just got tagged and more stuff. He just wants to reply more and more. And someone recently replied and they were like, I love what it is that you said, yada, yada, right? I happened to see one of his many replies and he was like, I didn't read it entirely. And I read it again and I was wrong. You are a leader. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, yeah, no, it's Sherlock, but I didn't respond to that guy. I, for what? The conversation was over. And honestly, it was more of a mind your business. I'm gonna mind mine. And that's essentially what I said in other words. But a lot of times people they're just gonna want to say stuff and it's like go figure out something else to do because you're trying to bait me and it ain't gonna work. And let me tell you something. My own brother in games will try to bait me, and I pay attention to that joint. It don't work. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about chess. Y'all saw that chess, man. Oh my god, I was so excited because I'm like, yes, I'm finally. This is like 5, maybe 7 years in the making. I haven't played with him since, and we played chess. And I'm like, heck yes, I'm doing great. And I mean, he kept trying to bait me to, take one of his pieces, right? And then I was like, nah, sucker, you ain't gonna get me. And I didn't want to give up my blunders. I didn't want to cause any blunders. But then he just, he rushed the stage with powerful pieces, and I ended up losing. And I had a chance to win, but I didn't take that risk. You know what I'm saying? I didn't speak up for myself in the game of chess. I stayed silent, and it caused me an L. I got an L, so I'll take the L. let me get back on track. So Tara's talking about some steps to get started, and but I was talking about what other people think, expect, or feel about you. That's them. It's not your problem. That's their problem. All right. So steps to get started. One, change your mindset about boundaries. You have the right to have them. Yes. Surprisingly, many adults are not aware setting personal boundaries is a basic right. You don't have to earn it or to receive permission. Setting boundaries means you are engaging in healthy relationships. Come on with it. Number two, thoughts and feelings and needs are important to everyone. No one's thoughts, feelings, or needs are above that of anyone else. In order for you to step fully into your life and value, you must learn to see yourself as equal to others and honor your authentic self. This is beautiful because this is so important. A lot of the times, and I don't know if you've ever had conversations with people, but it's more so it's their needs, their thoughts, their feelings, and they're always right. And if given the opportunity, or even if they don't have the opportunity, people will take things amongst themselves because they feel like their needs and their thoughts, their feelings are more important than yours, and they can hurt you in the process. So this is why boundaries matter. Okay, hold on one second. All right. So now number three, examine your own needs. If you have been busy serving everyone else's demands, you lose touch with who you are and what you need. It's time to learn about yourself and to start discovering thoughts, feelings, and other needs that have been neglected. Learn and practice discovering the boundaries needed in your everyday life. Number four, learn to say no without guilt. Saying no is key in increasing your self respect. At first, it might be difficult to say no, and you may need to remind yourself there is no reason to feel bad about declining a request. People with strong boundaries will be able to respectfully honor and accept yours. You know, my youngest brother, right? So he has a speech impediment, and he will say no, no thanks, maybe next time. Like those are the top three things he will say in response to anything. And I mean any and everything. It could be something that he wants. He'd be like, you know what, I will. But like the first thing out of his mouth is no, no thanks. Like I love that about him. He has amazing boundaries, and look, he will tell any and everybody no. And I love that. You know what I'm saying? And what's amazing is because he has that speech impediment, when he did go to, speech training and therapy and everything like that, it was great that he was taught that, because I was able to learn from him, like, dang, I'm this age, right? Because he's what, maybe 22, 23. I'm 31, right? I'm like, dang, what in the world? It just goes to show the difference in, upbringing, because we were raised in two different homes. We got two different moms, but like just the difference in what we were also taught. And I was like, man, that's so beautiful. I just love that about him. And I'm like, dang, I definitely want to adopt that more. And I started to, and I think it's beautiful. So yes, learn to say no without guilt. Don't worry about feeling guilty. So imagine what would happen if everybody had speech therapy. I think that should be a course that everybody takes, speech therapy. I like that. Number five, recognize when people cross the line. If you lack or have weak boundaries, it will take practice to identify when your boundaries have been overstepped. Take time to review moments when you felt uncomfortable or disrespected by someone during the day. Tune into your body and notice when you feel tense or flustered. I like that. Number six, stop overcommitting. You are not uh, obliged to please others at your own expense. Committing too much to other people creates stress and burnout. When you are burnt out, you will be unable to show up as your best for what's most important to you. So make certain to put on your own oxygen mask first. Go back to number four. Look, let me tell you something. When we're talking about issues and groups of people, right, in the world, and a group of people are talking about something, that is not your indication to latch on to their issues. Everybody has their own set of issues. That's fine. Don't devalue someone else's issues. Don't be like, hey, me too, all this other stuff. Because let me tell you something. If five groups or five different types of people are having issues and they're all in a plane and that plane is diving, why should the person who's deciding to speak up about their issue put on your oxygen mask first? They're going to end up dying. No, put on your own oxygen mask and then tell people how they can help you get more oxygen masks. That's how you do it. Don't tell people how to put their oxygen mask on. Put your own oxygen mask on. And a lot of times, I love that she said this, because a lot of times people they're putting everybody else's oxygen mask on first and they end up dying or they end up drowning. You know what I'm saying? Because freaking what was his name? What was his name in Titanic? Leonardo DiCaprio, he could have fit on that thing. They both could have fit on their thing. They both would have been nice and warm and coat. Well, not nice and warm. They would have been warmer, and because she made it, and she was on that joint by herself. Imagine how less shiver, like how much less she would shiver if she if Leonardo DiCaprio was up there on that ledge with her. Man, that joint was corny. Okay, anyway, Number seven, in relationships that do not tolerate boundaries. I love this. With strong personal boundaries comes the need for strength and conviction. You will find unhealthy relationships will self destruct and end. And at first, this might leave you feeling guilty or like you failed. Stay strong because you are worth it. Allow your boundaries to filter out those who are contaminating your space and fill those spaces with new friendships that are supportive and uplifting. Remember, enforcing your boundaries might feel uncomfortable at first. You'll feel like you're behaving in a mean and unforgiving manner. But the truth is, clearly communicating what you expect from others and what they can expect from you is an act of kindness and respect for yourself and those around you. Start the year with a new, live your life. Hey, with a new sense of self respect. If you think you need help with this, check out her mental wellness course, especially interpersonal effectiveness here. So she's got a course, y'all. You click her course and check this out. Get it. Get it. Look at this. It's less than $50. Get in it. Get in it. Take the course. Take the course. Trust me on that. Take the course. All right. So now we're going to talk about speaking up for others. All right. Okay. So still we're still on her website, terrasoric.mentalhealth.com. So attention women, time to speak up. And so I'm also going to say men as well, because there needs to be a lot more good people speaking up, holding one another accountable, holding men holding men accountable, women holding women accountable, so that we can effectively do better as a human race. All right, so let's talk personally about a topic most women are familiar with, speaking up. So ask yourself right now, do I speak up? Speaking up comes in many forms. It means advocating for those around us. It means not standing back and allowing others to take credit for our ideas. Right on. Dominate conversations or interrupt us. It means not allowing others to tell us we are too emotional, or my favorite, tell us what we can't do something because we are female. This is not always overt. That's true. It means saying what you mean and asking for what you need and want. This is where I call the BS card on us women. I'm not saying others do not have responsibility. However, we are the problem. Come on with it. Accountability. Hold on one second. Excuse me. I know we're talking a lot today. I'm excited. Hold on. I recognize that a lot of us grew up in an age. Hold on. All right. I recognize that a lot of us grew up in an age where we were taught to be meek or mild, no doubt. I do think though we have done a lot of people a disservice by not being ourselves and using our voices. How so? Let me explain. We have not pushed hard enough to voice our thoughts because of fear. Time to figure out why. Ask yourself a why question about how you speak up. Excuse me, the T. Why don't I talk with so and so about their lying to me? Why don't I tell my brother he is condescending? Why do I let my mom guilt me? Answer your why and then ask yourself another why. Typically, the first answer is not the core answer, so ask it again and expect a more detailed answer from yourself. Excuse me. Lord have mercy. You would think I'm drinking soda. I'm just drinking some warm tea. Jeez, jeepers. Once you answer your why, then it's time to figure out what to do about it, because we all allow change of behavior does not just happen. Oh, excuse me. We all know. Let me start that again. Excuse me, y'all. Once you answer your why, then it's time to figure out what to do about it. Hold on. I recognize that a lot of us grew up in an age where we were taught to be meek or mild, no doubt. I do think, though, we have done a lot of people a disservice by not being ourselves and using our voices. How so? Let me explain. We have not pushed hard enough to voice our thoughts because of fear. Time to figure out why. Ask yourself a why question about how you speak up. Why don't I talk with so and so about they're lying to me? Why don't I tell my brother he's condescending? Why do I let my mom guilt me? Answer your why and then ask yourself another why. Typically, the first answer is not the core answer, so ask it again and expect a more detailed answer from yourself. Let me scroll down. Once you answer your why, then it's time to figure out what to do about it because we all know changing behavior does not just happen on its own. Start by planning out your conversations, write them out specifically. Follow this format. 1. Describe the situation with facts only, not your interpretations. 2. That's good. That's good because then that's good causes you to remove your emotions, right? Number 2, talk about how the situation impacts you, your emotions and opinions. Then number 3, ask for what you need and want or say no to a request. Number 4, give them a reason to give you what you want, i.e., this would make me feel more secure in our relationship, or it would make me want to stay with the company. After you've planned, it's time to have the conversation. Be aware of any attempts from the other person to throw you off course by using, but you did this type of statements. Steer the conversation back to what you are asking for by saying, I hear you and I am willing to talk about that when we are finished with this topic. That's good. And make sure you deliver your message with confidence. When you do not appear confident, people will doubt or not trust what you're saying. You are a fabulous human. Time to own it and time to act like it. That's beautiful, you guys. And then she's got assertiveness. You can go ahead and click that. So make sure you go ahead, check out her blog. And that's for everybody too, because you also want to think about speaking up for others. You don't want to just do it for yourself, but if you recognize that someone's having a little trouble speaking up and maybe somebody's dominating the conversation and some the conversation with that person in an aggressive way, if you have the opportunity, you know what I'm saying, and you're wise about it and you've read the room, then kind of get in there and just be like, hey, maybe you guys should take a moment and come back to it. Then talk to that person who's kind of on the mute side, be like, hey, you should really speak up and encourage them in that moment. That way there could be a healthier resolve, hopefully. You know what I'm saying? That's if you end up in that situation. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying, there's less times of that, but a lot of times people need help. People need help and they need encouragement and to be reminded that they need to speak up for themselves. All right, so 7 times when it's better to stay quiet. We are going to exploreyourmind.com. All right, so hold on. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. Yeah, it says 4 minutes, but I'm not going to read this whole thing. We're just going to list it 7 times and we're going to call it a day. Number 1, when others are gossiping. Yes, think about it. Why get involved in it? I mean, they're not talking about anything but other people. Like they have no substance to give or share. Like that's wasting time. Why give somebody your time that's literally talking about somebody else? That's not adding value to you. All right. And even in the Bible, it talks about gossip not being good. Don't hang around gossipers. Number 2, when others ask about your love life, people don't need to know. Be silent. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you could be transparent and stuff like that. But look, when it comes to your relationships, keep that between y'all two. Everybody don't need to know. They don't need to know the intimate stuff. They don't need to know the conversations. Keep that between y'all. You feel me? How was your date last night? Or how's your sex life? Are two very common questions, right? I'm talking like people don't need to know this stuff unless they're like an accountability partner. You know what I'm saying? They're encouraging you to, reach the goals of your love life or your mentors that you both agreed to. Bump that. Yeah, you ain't got to answer all that stuff. Bump that. Some people are shy. Some people be doing some extra stuff with that. Number 3, after a really obvious mistake. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. They're saying, hold on, let me see. When someone messes up or makes a blatant mistake. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to rub it in. Don't be that guy. Don't be that. That's horrible. When you are the expert, yes, I love this. Be quiet. We all excel except I'm gonna read this one, but going through life shouting it from the mountaintops is not the best thing to do. Although you may feel the need for others to recognize your expertise, try only mentioning it when it's truly appropriate. So, okay, yeah. For example, during a dinner with family and friends, set your focus on being thankful for the time you are spending with them. You will have the opportunity to talk about your work expertise at the office or during a business dinner with your boss. Like, you guys, there's something beautiful about also speaking last, like letting everybody else speak. Because a lot of times people will share something, and a lot of times it'll be something that you agree with. So you can piggyback off of it, you can add to it to, bring more substance and more value to the conversation. But there's something beautiful about being last to speak or just simply listening and taking notes. Like, I don't know about you, but the more that I learn, the less I want to speak. And I know you guys hear me speaking and sharing stuff every day, but this is for a purpose. It's because I know that there's a need. I know that there's a void, and I know that I'm one of the people that's supposed to help with it. So get used to it. But other than that, I'll be chilling. I you know everything, like, I think I talked it all out when I was a kid or something, because I mean, report cards, what was it, progress reports, Imani talks a lot. That was the pattern and the consistency growing up as a kid. I did not really care too much about school after middle school. And yeah, I was the most talkative person in the entire world. Just talking. I'm like, just talking, talking, talking. I think about it, I'm like, my Lord, I could have been doing so much other stuff. Okay, next, and we're gonna keep going. Number 5, if you know a secret that could work to your advantage, yeah, don't be that dirtbag. Yeah, but it would affect someone else's well-being. Don't say anything. Shut up. Matter of fact, y'all be careful. You ain't got to give stuff out. Mm-mm. This is horrible. You know what? I'm gonna read this joint because I feel like people be doing stuff like this. If you find yourself in a situation where you know something that can improve your life, finances, or any other aspect, but would affect someone else's well-being, don't say anything. It can be a complicated situation because you may feel the temptation to say something. However, saying something could paint you as someone who isn't very trustworthy. Although you may not believe it, in this case, staying quiet could end up benefiting you more in the long run. All right. Number 6, if you have no idea what others are talking about, yes, shut up. There's nothing worse than, you know what I'm saying? I remember being in a room, in one of those audio rooms, and someone asked a question. I'm in the audience, someone went on stage, they asked a question, but the people that were running the room, they were talking, but they didn't answer the question. So I raised my hand and I was able to answer the question. But I'm like, why are y'all pulling stuff out of thin air? I get it. Sometimes we feel as though we may need to do that, but we really don't. Here's something that's healthy that I've adopted myself. You know what? I'm not sure. Matter of fact, how about we do a search together, or hit me up later and then I'll share somebody who would know this information, or here's somebody XYZ would know how to help you with that. Or even better, I'm not sure. But if you find out, when you find out, please let me know because I would love to help. I would love to learn more, right? That automatically just like lets people know, okay, they know what they don't know. That not only makes them more valuable, but the fact that they offered more, even when they don't know, opposed to just be like, I don't know, or worse, saying something and it has nothing to do with the question asked. I mean, come on, that's just wasting people's time. So let's be clear and more concise. And we've all done it. I'm not saying I'm perfect because I've done it and I felt as though I needed to answer, or I had to answer the question, but over time just developing and practicing the aspect of, you know what, I'm not sure. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Is beautiful. Number 7, during arguments. Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm going to read this one. Be quiet. Listen. Wait. These are the moments when we say things that we may later regret. It's never a good idea to say something when you are upset. You can debate with your boss, your parents, your family, but if the debate turns into an argument, it's better to stay quiet. Yes. Excuse me, wait until you are calm and can think about what you want to say more clearly. Even if you are right, wait, because the person on the other side of the argument is not going to understand you. It may be challenging to not say anything at first, but all you need is a little practice. This is so true. You guys, this is why I encourage meditation because, right, as someone who used to be highly emotional to where, like, I mean, you could tell I was like, just next level emotional with what I said, what I did. It just always just like in a wave of emotions. As someone who used to be like that, let me tell you something. I have found value, especially, you know what I'm saying, going through my healing process, right? And I'm like, I need to meditate. I would tell people that, especially if somebody I really care about, be like, hey, you know what, I love you very much, I need to meditate because I'm not ready to have this conversation right now. Can we pick this back up later? Can we set a date or time? And right there, that also tells you who respects your boundaries, because sometimes there will be people who will want to force you to have a conversation with them. Be careful of that. That's aggravating. That's unhealthy behavior. That's unhealthy behavior. A lot of times people need to process, especially if they're super emotional or whatever, especially if they're still trying to figure out things within their life. Give people that space. Stop trying to force stuff to happen right when you want it. It doesn't work like that. We are humans, right? And we all need moments. And, you want to make sure that the same things that you set, you're also respecting in others, because sometimes people may need time. They may need a moment. When people come in after work or whatever, you think they want to talk? No, they don't. They want to unwind. They want to do whatever meditation means to them so that they can go through and do stuff with you. That's how it should be. You know what I'm saying? And if it's a hard conversation, paying attention, reading the room, sometimes it's not the right time to communicate. It's like, hey, you know what? My love, can we talk a little bit later? Because there's a lot that I actually would like to bring to the table and I would like to discuss so that we can find a solution as a team. So much healthier, you guys, so much healthier than picking fights and forcing an argument. Like, there are people that do that and they aggravate me. I'm passionate about that. Like, can't force somebody to have a conversation they're not ready to have, so you got to be careful with things like that. And know that your boundaries, your feelings matter. And it's okay if you want to be silent first, if you want to, take that moment and reserve so that you can actually have a conversation later. So, yes, and yeah, be safe, stay smart, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited. We're going to talk soon.